flight, we are go for launch. T minus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. This is Navigating AI, hosted by Rich Wilson, guiding business leaders through the new intelligence era. Let's explore how AI is reshaping business, leadership, and the world.
Welcome to Navigating AI, where we guide business and HR leaders through the new intelligence era. Today's episode is titled, There's Nothing We Can't Handle: Human Resources, Change, and Leading Through Complexity. Today, I'm joined by Aspasia Kalapothakos, a longtime HR leader and the Director of Business Partnerships at Rising Tide. Aspasia's HR career started with what was supposed to be a summer job, and it turned into nearly 3 decades of building people strategies across industries and global environments. Today, she helps growing organizations navigate change, build strong business partnership models, and create workplaces where people feel seen and supported. We will also talk about how she's using AI to move faster while keeping the human element front and center. Aspasia, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Rich. I'm excited to be here and to share a little bit of my background and experience with you.
Okay, well, let's dive into that. So HR was not your original plan. Tell me, how did a summer job turn into your career path?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how long ago that feels, but it still seems like yesterday. I like to say I didn't choose HR, HR chose me. So I was looking for something to do for the summer, make some extra cash, and I went to a temp agency and they placed me in an HR department within a large organization. And it was in that summer job that I had an unexpected career. I still in HR today. Very excited to say that that summer job really formed my love and passion for this career and really helped me take form from day one as an HR assistant in a personnel file room, making sure that things are up to date and really paper pushing, making sure that nines were filled out correctly and that we had tax forms for everyone and that we had proper documentation on file and that everything was in the correct place in their personnel file. And then suddenly that turned into an interest in how that happens and recruitment and benefits and employee relations. And from there, I really just blossomed. It became something that I truly fell in love with and carried on.
As you moved from general HR into business partnering, what shifted on how you thought about the role?
Yeah, that's a great question. I feel like it moved from execution, always trying to get things done and really move from one thing to another, to problem solving. As an HR business partner, as I really sit back and think, that's what we do most of the day. It's problem solving, whether that's an employee issue or an organization that's looking to grow or change or shift. It's always going back to that basic concept of problem solving. And that's what business partnership is. It's from how do I do this to what are we solving for today? And what is the outcome that we're looking for? And then really backtracking into those steps that are going to make it happen. And that's what makes business partnership fun, and that's what made that real shift from the doer to the thinker and the true strategic business partner that I feel like we are today.
That shift is huge because it changes how you show up with leaders. You're the Director of Business Partnerships at Rising Tide, and you wear a few hats. What does the role include week to week?
Yeah, I like to say that my role is multifaceted. I have this is my favorite job that I've had in my career, and
Okay.
I can say that it's because of the variety of hats that I wear. From 1 minute helping to grow an organization because I hold my own portfolio of clients and leaders that I continue to help so that I keep my own skills fresh, and I'm continuing to be a practitioner because that's something that I love to do, to leading a team, a growing team, and taking that team to the next level. So I have a fairly large team of 8 business partners today that do work for a variety of organizations. I help them with escalations, and I help them be good problem solvers themselves and really help hone their skills and act as a mentor or a guide as they're really growing in their careers. And then watching the company grow. So a huge component of what I do today is helping to retain our clients and really continuing to see our company grow. So it's kind of a trifecta.
You talked about HR moving from transactional to more strategic, and even more HR leaders landing in the C suite. What do you think has driven that shift?
Yeah, I feel like there's there's a lot of emphasis on the complexity of the world we live in today and the human component of that. And I feel that more organizations are seeing that the value is in the people and in the talent that they have in seat day to day. Great products, great product lines, great brands, great brand names always have great people behind them. And when you have a really good talent base, an engaged talent base, then you really feel like you're setting your company up for success. And that's where HR comes in, is really helping to think through the complexities of what is it that our population is looking for? How do we engage a team? What is it that's going to help us scale from 1 million to 10 million or from 10 million to 50 million and beyond? What creates trust in an organization, and how do we become an employer of choice? And all of those things lead back to HR components. I hear quite often people will say, well, that's an HR function. Well, that's an HR function. That's an HR function. And really, it's not. What we've done over time is really shown that it's a company function that may be led by HR or that may be assisted or supported by HR. But at the root of it, there is some part that comes back to HR. And more leaders are finding that to be beneficial for their organizations, not just for the compliance purposes and what we have to do, but also looking at what is it that we want to do and how do we bring that to fruition so that we can attract, engage, and retain the best talent for our organizations.
Now, for those organizations that have not made the shift yet, this next part really matters. What does it take for HR to truly earn that seat at the table in an organization that still treats HR like a compliance function?
Yeah, I think that that is a great question because it truly is something that we talk about on a daily basis, having a seat at the table. It's so
Mhm.
very important. I have leaders who feel like an HR person should not be in the C suite, or they should fall under a different area in their organization, possibly under the chief administration officer or a chief financial officer versus having a chief people officer or a chief talent officer. And I think the difference is that if you want someone to speak about policies and procedures and how to do things day to day, then you may not have somebody that you truly believe should have a seat at the table. But if you have somebody that is bringing things to you that they know will make a difference, and they're bringing outcomes to the table that will happen if you make certain changes, then you really have somebody that you believe in, you trust, that's built that credibility as someone that not only understands the basics of compliance and the basics of regulations and what we have to do. You'll hear me say that all the time. It's what we have to do versus what we want to do. But yeah, the to give somebody the ability to take risks and to execute on them and to really hope that that's going to bring about change in the organization in a positive manner and give you a very happy and successful population, that then earns you a seat at the table.
One place this really shows up is employee engagement.
Mhm.
When you think about employee engagement, what is it really made of beyond surveys and slogans?
Yeah. So I believe that all of those things you just said play a role in engagement. You want to have the surveys, you want to have the perks, you want to have the benefits, but when you really think about employee engagement, it's how are you getting the best out of your team each day? What I want to hear when I come to work, when I engage in a conversation with an employee is, I'm so excited to get up and come to work today. And so often I'll talk to somebody and they'll say, I dread getting up and coming to work today. And that just gives me such a sense of a pit in my stomach, right? It's like
Right.
that is where we're lacking then. How are you so unengaged? And at the root of that, why are you still here if you're so unfortunately upset with the work that you do, or you're not enjoying the work that you do? And at the core of it is engagement, and it's how the company really looks at bringing you along in the process, asking for your thoughts, asking for what it is that you want and need in order to be successful and in order to do your best work. Some part of it is tools and resources. The biggest part of it is listening and really just understanding your population and what it is that they want. And then knowing that they have the trust that you're going to follow through. For me, that's the biggest piece. You can have all the surveys in the world, and if you just let them pile up like in a dusty corner somewhere, or throw them in a drawer, or on a drive somewhere so that you can pull them out and look at them sometimes, it means nothing. But if you're truly action planning and you're taking the time to analyze the information that's being given to you from those surveys, then your team will know you're listening. People will know that you care about what's happening. And in turn, they will put that trust back into the work that they do in the form of engagement. And I feel like that's where you gain a really engaged population where you can look back and say, you know, how do you feel today? Not just once a year, and have the answer be the same. I'm thrilled to come to work today. I'm so happy to be here, right? It's rather than, I'd rather get hit by a bus than come to work today. Those are the things you don't want to hear.
No, not at all. Okay, so here's a practical question for you. If a company wants a quick engagement win, where should they start first and why would you suggest that?
Yeah. So, I would say that one, it's what is the size of the organization? What is the core mission of the organization? I feel like when you're really looking at where do I start, it's almost like a spool of thread, right? you have to have a start somewhere before you can start unraveling and making a scarf. So it's finding what is that point for where I am today. I believe sometimes organizations try to start with a really lofty goal, and then they they get discouraged because they get to a place where they realize I wasn't ready for that lofty goal. I can't give out $10,000 bonuses every quarter, right? That's not something that's feasible for me and my company right now. But I know that that's what would make my team really happy. And all you do is end up falling flat because you either try to do it and realize we can't financially meet that right now, or it didn't really hit the mark because that's not truly what my employees wanted. So, you know, I feel like some part of it is in understanding your population, whether that is through a survey, as much as we don't want to have it primarily be the only thing that we rely on. It is a tool and it is something that can be used widely to gain some understanding of what your population is looking for. Start with the managers, start with your your leaders. Whether you have one or 100, there's always something that your managers will be able to give you that maybe you don't see as a business owner or as the CEO of an organization, because you're further removed and you're looking at it at a 10,000-foot view, where your leaders are looking at it from a day-to-day perspective and from what they know about their teams, about their individuals, about their lives, about where they come from, about the skills they bring to the table, about what they're looking for. I was having a conversation about this earlier today about a team that's looking to go into their annual planning process and trying to figure out how can we invest in more L&D activities for our team. And it was the first question I asked was, did they ask for that? Is that something that they are looking for? How do we know that that's the right answer and where we want to put our funds for this year? And it created a really good conversation around what they have talked to their team about and what they have discovered as they're having those basic conversations and getting an understanding of what it is they're looking for. And then being able to come back to the table and say, this is what I feel like we need to do to be able to get to that next step of engagement with our team. Another part is closing the loop. The last thing people want is to fill out a survey or have a conversation and feel like it went nowhere.
Right.
It's I hit a dead end. I asked for the moon and the stars, and I didn't even get a raindrop, right? It's not what a team member wants. So, close the loop with your team, whether that's in a team meeting fashion, whether that's in a memo to the team, in an email, however you want to communicate it, do it timely and make sure that it fully closes the loop. These are the things that were asked for. This is our commitment to you. Having an engaged team means that you are committed to that team just as much as you expect them to be committed to you. And that, I believe, is what creates engagement and how you can start that thread, to go back to your initial question. So, in short, I believe that if you start at the baseline, gain some good information, understand the why, and close the loop, you've done a thorough job in moving the needle on engagement.
Okay. Let's pivot now and talk a little bit about AI. Leaders are trying to move faster right now, but still want to do it responsibly. You've described AI like having a second set of hands. What are your most practical day-to-day use cases for AI right now?
Yeah. So it really is. AI gives me time back, and I can then invest that time back into my clients and back into my team and back
Mhm.
into the business. So it's just it's amazing to have the ability to, without having to worry about, am I bothering someone, to run something past AI and to just really type out, this is what I'm thinking. And can you give me a framework? And AI will do that for you. It helps me to organize my thinking because we're in so many different directions all day, every day. As I think about things, now I can just throw them into my AI and say, "Hey, organize these thoughts for me in an order that will make sense to someone at this level," and allow AI to do that for me instead of taking that time. Really pressure testing messages. I feel like there's a difference between AI replacing what I do and enhancing what I do. Because I feel like I'm spending the same amount of time putting information into my AI bot to then receive back some sense of how it should be framed or given some clarity around my message. It'll come back to me and say, Aspasia, you're being too emotional. Okay, I get it. I'm gonna take those words out. Right. Or in that framework, you missed the how. And I can go back and add that in. And it doesn't have to go to another person who I might have to wait 3 hours to get a response from. I'm getting a response right then. And then I can in turn get that out the door that much quicker, which then allows me to focus my time on the next task on my list or on the next person that I need to talk to or the next client call that I have. It's I definitely believe it's like a second set of hands for me. It helps me to it, you know, think about what I'm saying, what I'm writing, what I'm doing at any given time, and then give it some clarity, give it a second set of eyes before I send something out.
That is so helpful. And leads me to my next question with regards to boundaries. What guardrails do you recommend so HR teams use AI responsibly without losing the human judgment piece?
Yeah. So never outsource judgment. That's my rule of thumb. It's something that you can't expect AI to be able to do for you. And when I talk to my team about using AI, I make sure to emphasize that we're utilizing it appropriately, that we're using AI for the reasons that I've mentioned before.
Mhm.
Drafting frameworks, organizing your thoughts, really getting the point across. Things that I would say are normally kind of black and white, right? That you would be able to get to if you had a second set of eyes on them. AI is not meant to be the answer to an employee relations investigation or to help you come to a resolution on whether somebody should be kept with a company or not. I feel like those are things that you can't magically put into an AI bot and receive an answer for. So, in essence, I would say if it impacts somebody's livelihood, then a human should own that, not AI. So you
Yeah.
can certainly have AI help you message how to say something when you do make that decision. But at the end of the day, the decision lies in human hands And that's what helps us keep human-centric organizations and helps us keep a pulse on our organizations as well. So I also say double check. Even if AI gives you a very succinct answer, make sure that you have a way to double check that so that we're not giving inaccurate information. An AI bot is only as accurate as the information that it has access to, and compliance changes day to day. There may be something that hasn't been picked up yet. So make sure that you're always double checking what you're sending, especially if you're quoting any kind of regulation or any kind of law or something that would be considered black and white to an employee or to a leader, because that could affect somebody's livelihood and it could affect a decision that a company makes that then impacts that entire organization. Those are the guardrails that I feel help us utilize AI in the best possible way to save time, stay efficient, and yet still maintain the human component.
And for leaders who are still uneasy about AI, I want to address that head on. If someone tells you, I'm nervous AI is going to replace jobs, how do you explain the real opportunity in a way that it lands?
Yeah. I hear this quite often. I read a lot of LinkedIn articles about this every single day. Leaders that are talking about how employees are afraid that AI is going to replace jobs. AI is not replacing jobs, it's enhancing the jobs that we do. It's allowing us to spend that time on areas of our jobs that require more logic, more thinking, more strategy versus the administrative tasks that AI can do for us in moments, pulling a sheet together, pulling a table together, pulling a chart together, writing an email, or making sure that it sounds the way you want it to sound. Those are all things that AI can do for you, but they need a human to give them the input to do them. So I try to express what I can mean for you if you use it properly to really help dispel that theory that AI is just taking jobs away. Because I truly feel like it's helping to actually add jobs because there's so many people in the world now working on AI programs and how to make AI better for us, and that's only adding to the job force and the job world.
So let's stay with leadership for a moment because your
Sure.
advice here is so relatable. You said you wish someone had told you earlier to delegate more. What changed when you started delegating differently?
Yeah, you know, my my 20-year-old self would be in a very different place if I had started delegating earlier in life. So I truly believe that it's somewhat twofold. I feel like
Mhm.
the one side of it is it gives me so much time back to be able to focus on other things that I can be doing. And it allows me to really show my team that I have trust in the work that they do. And whether I'm delegating to an AI bot in some cases, or whether I'm delegating to one of my team members in a
Mhm.
project or in a new client that's coming on board, I feel like it gives trust, it shows clarity, and it leverages talent in a way that makes them feel like they can do more than what they do today because I have given them something more to do and that challenges them. So I feel like that's one of the biggest lessons I would give to any new leader. I happened to have this conversation earlier today as well with a team member. Delegate, 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 because you'll get time back that you'll find to be so valuable and that will allow you to do so many other things. And time is the one thing you can't get back. So if you utilize it correctly, and I always say, don't just delegate the stuff you hate to do. Delegate the things that will challenge your team. Delegate the things that you would actually really love to do, but you know it will give your team member a sense of satisfaction being able to do it and to bring it to completion and to be really successful doing it. That's where you really get the most out of delegation. And I wish I had known that 30 years ago.
As you delegate and lead, the HR world keeps changing under your feet. HR changes
Mhm.
fast. What's your system for staying current without burning out?
My goodness. Feel like we could be walking encyclopedias in HR these days. It's amazing to see how fast regulations change and how much we need to stay current just to be compliant, not even in looking at the changes that will help us to keep an engaged organization and to keep people happy. But what I would call the basics of keeping the lights on could burn somebody out very easily. But I believe one, there's so many resources out there. I get daily updates in my email for from organizations that offer me updated information by state, by country, by type of regulation, so that I don't have to do all of the footwork myself. It generally will come to me, and then when I need it, I can fish it up and read it and make sure that my clients are up to date. I have a trusted peer set that I look to ask questions if something comes my way and I'm just not sure. You always have to have a group of trusted peers that you can go to that will help you along the way. So, an employment attorney, a benefits specialist, a broker, a financial advisor, all of these people have to be somewhere as aces in your pocket that you can pull out and ask questions to because they need to stay current all the time in their particular fields. And I feel like in HR, we're charged to be current in all of these fields. So those are a few ways. I don't believe you'll ever know everything. It's just impossible. So if you if you understand that, then you'll always be okay because there's a resource for everything. There's an article for everything. It's a LinkedIn note away. You can find everything you need between different resources, and you don't really need to know everything. You just need to know where to look.
For those other HR professionals out there, what marketing channels are working best right now for Rising Tide and for the work you do?
Yeah. So almost 100% of our business comes from word of mouth. It's
Referral.
not necessarily marketing dollars that are out there. It's by our Google reviews. It's by our current clients out there doing the marketing for us and sending clients our way. Amazing to see that word of mouth is still primary in how to gain new business. So
Yeah.
having a good brand, gaining the trust of our clients serves to be our best marketing technique. Outside of that, We run our own articles through LinkedIn to keep leaders refreshed. So we have subscribers to our articles that then lead to more business that comes in, whether that's project work or retainer work. And we also use our local chambers where we have our teams and where we have a good client base. We work through those chambers of commerce to then become really active in those communities, and in that way we've been able to really get our name out there and gain the trust of business leaders within those communities. So I'd say those are our biggest marketing channels today.
So, with referrals being the primary source for clients coming into Rising Tide, how do you keep those referrals aligned with your ideal client?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I feel like the best way to connect is through conversation, and it's really by understanding the mission of an organization. And typically our clients have worked with us for enough time to really understand our philosophy and the types of clients that we work with, and would likely not refer us to someone that doesn't fit within that scope or within that realm, or it hasn't happened just yet, which is great. But, I feel like if that were to happen, I feel like we'd be able to have that conversation and to really talk through what is it that they thought we could gain from each other by building a relationship and seeing it from their perspective, and really offering that, because I would never turn a referral away without having some really good conversation around it.
For those business leaders thinking we could really use Aspasia's help, what's the best way to connect or even learn more about Rising Tide?
Yeah, I'd welcome you to go to our website at risingtidehr.com and take a look at what we do, our profile. We have testimonials, we have information about all of our team members. I'd welcome anybody to connect with me on LinkedIn and to follow me on LinkedIn. I promise you will only find one Aspasia Kalapothakos. It's not difficult to find me. And in that way, you can see all of our postings and all of the great things that we do day to day as I share and post regularly. Otherwise, could definitely find me in the team section of Rising Tides page.
Okay. Aspasia, this was excellent. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for the work you're doing to keep HR human.
Thank you so much, Rich. I really appreciate it. It's been great being here.
Mission accomplished. This is Navigating AI. Subscribe for more insights into how AI is transforming business, leadership, and the world. Until next time, stay curious, stay ahead.